Hello and welcome to Ivycreates. Tonight we are going to be doing a little sign. It's a Sassy Semi-Sweet Southern Girl sign printed on plain copy paper on a plain old printer. You don't have to do anything fancy. I just happen to have the wood laying around, and the pink is actually from parts of a bandana that I had that we tore into shreds and pieces, so I decided to make a hanger and make a little bow on there since it was covering up a few things that I didn't want to see. So then I coated it with some Dixie Belle duck egg blue, and I let that dry really well, and Dixie Belle does a great job of covering things up and making it all nice and smooth. The next thing I did was clip up the bow so it wouldn't get in the way. Then I covered it with my polyacrylic, Minwax polyacrylic clear matte varnish, and it works for me just like Mod Podge would. So it's polyacrylic Minwax clear, and it's matte. And so I generously coated the sign. Then I turned the paper on it. Now I did print it on the paper backwards, like flipped over, so that when it goes face down, it'll come up right side facing us. So as you can see, I put it down and into the Mod Podge, and then I just went across the back of it with some water to make sure it was really good and in there. Don't do that with the polyacrylic or the Mod Podge. Only clear, clean water, because otherwise it'll just glue the whole thing down. I did that. It was a big mistake. It was awful. So now when I get that on the back, I'm going to have to wait for it to dry a bit, but I want to make sure that it's really smoothed out as it can be and actually adhering itself to the board. And I did send it a bit off center so that the bow would not get in the way of the little sign. I did go in and personally made this on the computer, my own fonts and everything, and just printed it out just on a regular old piece of copy paper. Now I'm going over it with water again, and just to make sure that it's all laid down real well. I have a heat gun and I put it on low, and I let the heat gun dry it. And as you can see, it's dried pretty well. So now I'm going to go back over it with water again. And the water is to, again, get it loosened up and ready to go. And then you're going to start to rub it with your fingers, or you might even start out with the little popsicle stick, or even in some cases you can use a scraper. But you do want to be extra careful when you're doing this, because as you do this, it's just going to start to roll little pieces and pull little pieces off. And the idea is to leave the front layer of the paper on the board and just remove the back layers, and you'll start to see it'll come through the paper, and it's a little bit at a time. It is a long process, but it's not something you would want to do in production because it would kill your fingers. But you can start to see the wording coming through by just peeling off a little bit at a time, and it's you just keep peeling and rolling on it. You can do this on almost anything. I've done several of these signs. Using the Minwax polyacrylic matte or clear or satin. There are lots of things you can do with it. You see it rolling off fairly easily, and the more you roll it, the more it'll show through. And you might have to do it a few times just to make sure that everything comes through that you want to come through. So you can see now that it's coming. I'm going back over it with the wet brush, and that is just plain water. That is, you want to keep it wet. You don't want to get it too dry, because then it'll start to tear a little bit more. And also you may have some tears as you do this, and if you do, wet it down really good, stick it back down, and by the way, subscribe to this channel, please join us. So you just wet it back down and stick it to the board, and you can see there it's coming off again. And so now, since I did print it opposite direction of what it would normally be printed, it is coming out correct on the board. And I do a lot of different things like this, and mostly because my handwriting is terrible, and my handwriting is actually so bad, and nobody can read it. So if I do a font or something like that, I know that I can either paint over it or marker over it. Even if it doesn't come out perfect, I can correct it easily. Now, I will say this, with doing corrections on this type of technique, you want to make sure that if you're using paint, you do it before your last clear coat. So you would paint over the wording just to make it stand out a little bit more, or if any places were torn when you were taking off the paper, you would want to go ahead and use the paint and a little liner brush just to line it in and make it pretty, which I'll show you in just a little bit. And then if you were using like a Sharpie or marker of some sort, you want to wait until after you put the clear coat on there and it's fully cleared, and then you can do the marker on top of that, because what I've found is that the Sharpies, if you put clear polyacrylic on it or whatever you want to use on it, Mod Podge, whatever, that tends to bleed with the Sharpies. So you wait until you put it on there completely dry, then you go over it with the Sharpie. But like I said, as you can see right now, I'm doing just paint, just a little simple acrylic paint. I like to get those little paint pots and mix my own paints and put them in there. It's just a lot easier than having to go with each jar of paint coming up all the time. But you can see it start to come out a little bit more. It's still got a little bit of paper on it, but I'm going to fix that all up and make it look good. And also, the other things that I would do with these is I sometimes paint around the outer edges. I might do some Mod Podging with it. I'll do different things to make it stand out and really be personalized. Please check out some of our other videos we have. We have many different videos on this channel doing lots of different types of techniques of the Mod Podge and the signage and painting, and I am really new at this, so please subscribe, and I would hope that you join me on my journey to move forward in this new creative adventure of YouTube. It is brand new to me, and I've been doing Facebook for a while. I am on Facebook at Deanna AC, or you can find Deanna Carroll on Facebook. I have pages and my personal profile, and connect with me there, or but do please watch our videos and come back each week. I'll be entering a new video each week, and that way you can see something new that we're working towards. And if you have any specific requests, please don't feel free to leave a comment or put a comment either on Facebook or on YouTube. I'll try to look at every single one and see if I can help you in some way. I have a lot of knowledge on these subjects, and I would love to help you out. So anyways, you can see I'm getting the little wording, and I'm just kind of filling in because I didn't need to. I just wanted to make it a little darker, because when I was doing it, you can't really translate on camera, but it looked just fine the way it was. I wanted to go and darken it a little bit more. So I did, and then I dried it, and now I'm going to put some more polyacrylic Minwax on there, and be generous with it, paint it in, make sure everything comes in, and now you can see that the letters really come out. They really look good. And this can be just a sweet little happy, as we call it here in the South. A happy is a gift that doesn't cost a bunch, in case you ever wondered. But yeah, you can make it a sweet little happy, a little gift to give somebody. Maybe this is something you can hang in your home. Very simple, very easy craft. It doesn't take that long. It didn't take me more than 30 minutes to get this done. And since I have most of the things that I need to do, it really didn't take me long at all. So anyways, that's just about the end of it there. It's looking like it's finished. But then I decided to go back and add a little duck egg. And that was, I didn't really, there were some places that were not quite the way I wanted them. So I went back in and added the duck egg. And I did have to go back and also go over my black a little bit more in some areas. And just to give it that little extra pop. So you can see I've done that. and I'll dry it off real quick. And this is the napkin that I actually ended up choosing to Mod Podge it, which I'll show you at the end of the video. I did choose to Mod Podge, put it on the whole thing. That way you can tear off pieces of napkin. The napkins come in two segments, like you have a front and a back piece. You got to take the back piece off and know that your color is going to bleed through. So if you want something to be true to the napkin, you want to put that on some white wood or some white coloring or light coloring. But this, I didn't mind that it was the blue coming through the background of it. So I took the backing off the napkin and I cut just what I wanted to show on it, and then I Mod Podged it down. Now the little blue piece that I added to the bow looks like a little tiny piece of blue stained glass. I just thought it was really pretty, a little jewel to add to the pretty little bow that's on it, and it's very country and southern, which is typical of our stuff here. So anyways, as I was saying, I really hope that you enjoyed this project, and I hope to have many more projects to come. So please join us, subscribe, get the notifications so that you won't miss our videos. Join me on Facebook, and here's the picture of what it looked like when I got finished. So I hope that you really enjoyed this, and I will see you soon in my next videos. Thank you very much. Bye.